This is a rant. Pre-warning. I'm here working on the Mercedes E320 diesel, and if you watched the video, you've seen I bought it a few weeks ago. Apparently had a cutting out issue, which I have not experienced since I've owned the car. I did tighten the battery cables up, which were completely slack, and replaced the battery in the end. And I thought that was probably job fixed. It has developed a misfire since then, which at first I thought was unrelated. Now, to fully understand the rant, you need to go back. When I bought the car, the gentleman I bought it off said that he'd been to a Mercedes specialist and some other garages. They couldn't find anything wrong with it, but the Mercedes specialist wasn't happy with the crank sensor, and he fiddled about with it. Took him 2 hours to get it out. Did something, I assumed replaced it, and the car ran. But ever since then, it had a very intermittent cutting out problem. Nobody could seem to trace it. Nobody could find the cause. No faults. Very, very difficult. Anyway, I still personally believe it was the battery terminals that was causing the cutting out. Now, developed a misfire under load. No fault codes, no engine light, no smoke. You can make it do it stood still, but it was under very specific load and rev range. It wasn't just any time. So I've checked injectors, I've checked injector coding, I've checked turbo, I've checked turbo actuator, I've checked EGR valve, I've cleaned the EGR valve, although I didn't really need it. Short of a compression check, I've done everything mechanical that you can check on this engine. Appears to be completely fine. And it wasn't until I was doing a diesel run back check on the injectors that I noticed that when this car was doing its misfire, every single injector was shutting off at the same time and coming straight back on. And that was like light bulb in the head moment. This isn't a mechanical fault, this has got to be an electrical fault. So knowing that somebody had already looked at the crank sensor, I thought I'll just have a quick look, make sure that the plug's on properly, maybe the wiring's not rubbed through or something. And I looked at it and I was like, that doesn't look like a new sensor. And when I got my torch on it, it turns out that the sensor was completely loose in the back of the engine. It could move around like this. And not only that, with it moving around with the engine running, you can hear it hitting the flywheel. So I was like, well, that can't be good. So I thought, well, I'll pull the sensor out and have a look at it. Maybe it's had the wrong sensor in. So I got my tool out, put it on the sensor. Bolt was slack. So hope these threads aren't stripped. Got the bolt out, threads aren't stripped. But the bolt did have 3 nuts on the top. 3 washers on the top, sorry. Why? Mercedes didn't do that. And I got the sensor out, here it is. This is the original sensor. You can see it's original because it's minging. Genuine Mercedes, there you go. There's the Mercedes badge. Now, I know why it had 3 washers on the bolt, because this surface here has been shaved down to make the sensor closer to the flywheel. And because of that, the bolt then bottoms out in the hole, and you have to have 3 washers to take out the slack. But because this has been moved closer to the flywheel, it's rubbed. I'll put a little picture on here, a comparison to a new one, of how much has been shaved off of this. And I don't understand, right? Because crank sensors fail, yeah, it's a normal kind of thing. Replace it. I don't understand what the thought process was of, if you thought this might be faulty, why would you not just replace it? Somebody's gone to a lot of effort to try and make this closer to the flywheel by shaving material off of here and putting washers in, which ultimately made it hit the flywheel, which is, I'm assuming, it's damaged the sensor. 100% it's damaged the sensor. You can see that, it's a better shot. But then, because it had so many washers on, the bolts managed to back out. So now the sensor's slack in the hole. So every time the engine vibrates in a certain frequency, this is moving and no longer looking at the flywheel. And then the engine's stopping. This is, I'm assuming, jumping back into the correct place, and the engine's seen it again, and that's what's giving you the misfire effect. Well, I've replaced that. A new one cost me £33 for a decent brand one, NTK. £33. I fitted it and it's fixed. So, Mr. Mercedes specialist, I'm not going to name who it was. If this was you, Why? Why didn't you just replace it? I love a bodge as much as the next guy, but that was never going to work. However,